Test, 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 1, 2, test, 1, 2, test. Test, 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 test.
Good afternoon and welcome to the City Council meeting for Tuesday, November 12th. And if we can start, Madam City Clerk, with a roll call.
Thank you, Mayor Hagan. Councillor Campbell.
Present.
Councillor Crowson.
Present.
Councillor Dodick.
Present.
Councillor Middleton Hope.
Present.
Councillor Parker. Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
Here.
Acting Mayor Carlson.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Palladino.
Present.
And Mayor Hagan.
Present.
All present. Thank you.
All right. City of Lethbridge acknowledges that we're gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot people of the Canadian Plains and pay respect to the Blackfoot people, past, present, and future, while recognizing and respecting their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationship to the land. The City of Lethbridge offers respect to the Métis and all who have lived on this land and made Lethbridge their home. As recognitions, I'll start to my far right, Councillor Middleton Hope.
Are you ready? Along with, from the sounds of it, a number of other members attended the Remembrance Day ceremonies at both the exhibition and at the Cenotaph yesterday. And I want to thank all members of council who did attend. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dodick.
You tricked me there. Yes, I was at the Cenotaph ceremonies, and Councillor Crowson, Councillor Carlson, and Councillor Schmidt-Rempel. Sorry. Councillor Palladino were there. And what I wanted to say was it was just amazing. Every year I go to the Cenotaph one and I see it just grow and grow and grow. And it's also so impressive when you see so many young folk there. So my daughter and her husband were there. Our grandchildren were there. And so it was truly a family thing, and being explained to the the grandchildren as to what this means. And the only additional comment I want to make is that, well, I'm aware that other council members were at the exhibition as well. So when I mentioned that, I didn't mean to leave them out. But in any event, the wars, World War I, World War II, which we're remembering, were fought for the preservation of democracy. And it seems to me that what those folks were fighting for and what we were supporting them was for a democracy that respected each other's views. And unfortunately, we seem to be heading in a situation where we live in our own echo chamber, and I sometimes fall into that myself, in that I may listen to other people's views, but a lot of times I may discount them because of the polarization that we've become. So when I was thinking about this yesterday, I thought that's one of the things I want Remembrance Day to have a particular impact on me, is that we're fighting for a democracy, and then democracy means that we listen to each other's views and realize that we're all trying to do the best that we can, although we may do it with a different viewpoint. And so I think civility and things of that nature should be the benchmark, and that's what I believe were part of the things that World War I and World War II were about. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you, Councillor Dodick. Back to my right, Councillor Crowson.
I think everybody knows we've kind of hit the Christmas season now, and there's an amazing number of events coming up. Impossible to list them all, but one I want to give a happy birthday out to is the Oddfellows. The Independent Order of Oddfellows are 135 years old in Lethbridge this year. So one of the oldest organizations in Lethbridge, and they are having their roll call on the 23rd of November. There's a lot of craft sales and bake sales. One people might want to go out to, and following up from Remembrance Day, on November 16th, the Army and Navy Club are having a craft sale, and it's to help pay for roof repairs at their buildings. So if anybody's looking for crafts, certainly a good one to come up to. We also have, of course, CASA and SAG have their holiday market this weekend. Then we have the 21st, we have the downtown event. We have Night at the Museum that night and the downtown Moonlight Madness. So there is absolutely so much people can do. And following up also on what Councillor Dodick said, I had the honor to speak at Mike Mountain Horses at their Mike Mountain Horse Elementary for their Remembrance Day on Friday. And then we had the Lethbridge Fire and Emergency Services recruits graduation on Friday. And the one thing that reminded me, or I thought about with both of those, was public service and community, and how people are willing still, and have always in the past, put their lives on the line for their community and have done things for the community. So public service is a good reminder for all of us as well. Many more things to talk about. The one I just can't get out of my head, if you didn't see it, you really missed out on Misery. Phenomenal, phenomenal presentation that I am still thinking about to this day, and I hope nobody is a fan for me quite like that fan was in the book and in the play. And that's everything.
Thank you, Councillor Crowson. Councillor Campbell.
Oh, thank you. Just want to congratulate the organizers of the BIPOC Foundation Legacy Gala and Excellence Awards, which were happening. If you don't know, BIPOC is Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And it was another showcase of the diversity that we have here in the city and the positivity that this organization brings with their entrepreneurship. And it's a wonderful event. Also wanted to congratulate Sunrise Rotary Club for their fundraising night for the Ronald McDonald House up in Calgary. It was an emotional speech from a Lethbridge mother, and she's not unique to this, where she had to spend virtually 2 years in Ronald McDonald House as her daughter dealt with cancer treatments. As they pointed out, her daughter ended up spending more of her lifetime at the Ronald McDonald House than anywhere else. She unfortunately passed away, but it is much needed in this area to expand the Ronald McDonald House because there's just not enough space. So that was wonderful. I don't know if Councillor Parker is going to mention it, but I'll mention it. Congratulations to his son on heading to the Super Bowl of junior football, playing with the Okanagan Sun. And unfortunately, from what I understand, they came up against a tough team, but came in second, had a phenomenal year, and I know your son has made you very proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Palladino.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since the last meeting, I attended a few events on your behalf. I'll go through them real quick. October 12th, Southern Alberta Art Gallery, grand opening of their 3 new art exhibits. October 18th, Lethbridge Polytechnic, blessing of the Eagle Feather Ceremony, part of their School of Justice there. October 19th, the Lethbridge Polytechnic Convocation Ceremony. I attended on the 24th, the grand opening of the Canadian Western Bank, just kitty corner from Galt Gardens downtown here. October 25th, the Peter and Paul Catholic Church fundraiser. November 1, listened in on the Mayors and Reeves meeting via Teams. Interesting conversation on that table. We were there. Yeah. November 2nd, Galt Museum, 2 new exhibits, one that showcases sports in the city, as well as the Visit Lethbridge.com arena. And on November 4th, Mr. Sanchez and I attended the Bayer High Tech Production Facility tour just north of Coaldale. We went to that, and that's it.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Most of them have been covered. I would like to do a shout out to a group that kicked off my much delayed diet and weight loss plan. I attended my first attendance at Lethbridge Park Run a couple weeks ago, and I just want to do a shout out to the organizers. It's all volunteer driven. I believe they've had over 224 volunteer organized races every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. It's free and open to everyone. The organizers do an amazing job. It's a very fun event. I met a lot of awesome people, and I look forward to continuing on, but I just wanted to give a shout out to all those volunteers and organizers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carlson. Councillor Parker.
Well, thank you very much. I wanted to follow up just a little bit on Councillor Campbell. First of all, thank you for those kind words about my son. It was an interesting weekend. I drove up to Calgary this weekend to watch my other son play, LCI play St. Francis in the quarterfinals. And as I was watching that game, I'm watching my son's game on an iPad. And fortunately, LCI did win their game, so they're now playing Raymond. which should be quite an interesting game next week. But anyway, and then of course my son losing. But I think in more than that, I think there was actually a better story behind the whole thing is actually there's 6 or 7 players from Southern Alberta that were represented in those games. And the 2 boys I want to point out is Ryder and Gage Blasco, who actually played with Chinook with my son. They were on the opposing team, and so they did win, and congratulations to them. But there was a CCH representative, there was a Karsten representative, there was also a Winston Churchill representative, and as well as LCI, I think they had Marcus Christos. So there were 7 or 8 players that are representing Canadian junior football. So I think we should be proud as Southern Albertans that we have some great athletes representing us at that level of football. So thank you very much. And I did have to drive my son home from Kelowna yesterday. So thank you to my representatives who did attend all the Remembrance Day ceremonies. And thank you to all our veterans as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Parker. Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. On October 26, I and a number of my colleagues had the honor of attending the annual Policeman's Ball. It was also great to see our Lethbridge force supported by the province that evening as we had the Premier in attendance, and it's always fantastic to see provincial support at these events. On November 11th, I attended the Lethbridge Chamber of Commerce's Long Table event. That was an evening of food, community, and discussion about how impactful the agricultural and tourism industries are in our region. And it was highlighted by a 4-course meal made by the freshest locally sourced ingredients, featuring the culinary students at Lethbridge Polytechnic. And if anybody has had an opportunity to eat at Lethbridge Polytechnic, you can imagine how fantastic that was. They are still taking seatings for their winter events right now, so there are still some evenings open if you're interested in booking dinner there. Further congratulations to our local chamber on achieving policy success at the Canadian Chamber Policy Session in Halifax. 2 national policies were passed, which were the work of our local chamber. One was a pathway to fixing the affordable housing crisis in Canada. A second, protecting the temporary foreign worker program to ensure the viability of domestic agri-food industry. Those are both available on the chamber's website if you'd like to learn more. Congratulations to Big Brothers and Big Sisters Lethbridge at its November 2nd Big Gala. They raised over $125,000 for this organization that plays a pivotal role in youth prevention services. And finally, congratulations to Team Lethbridge on a successful 8th mission. Mayor Higgin, City Manager Brierley, and myself were the representatives from the city. It truly is one of those efforts that makes our city such a special and amazing place to call home. The mission was November 5th to 7th. There were 19 organizations, 44 participants. We had 19 meetings, 2 receptions over 3 days. And we are still the only community in Alberta that's been able to achieve this kind of activity, advocacy activity in Alberta. A shout out to Trevor Lewington and the Economic Development Team for coordinating the 8th mission. A full report on the mission will be out in the new year, so we will make sure that that gets forwarded on to Council as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I think most has already been mentioned, but yeah, regarding Team Lethbridge, with being away at Team Lethbridge, amongst other meetings in Edmonton here last week, a huge shout out to my colleagues. You just heard Deputy Mayor Palladino, some of the different events he was at, and Councillor Campbell, and any others that were able to fill in for the request for me that was unable to make it. So thank you very much for filling in. And there's so many different activities that we get invited to on a regular basis, and we, with conflicting appointments, sometimes it's difficult to make them all, but so I'm grateful for my colleagues to be able to attend a lot of these meetings as well, as they do on a regular basis anyways. Yesterday, with Remembrance Day, I want to give just a shout out to the hospitality of a few different organizations that were open and had different events. And one was the Polish Hall, and it's every year they get together and they are very supportive of the veterans and have an event there where they have sandwiches. You can come over and have a sandwich, and it was absolutely amazing. And Army and Navy, another one, the Armories out at the airport, the Legion, all those groups, and the incredible work that they do to continue to remember the veterans and what they do on a yearly basis, not just on a yearly basis, but a daily basis, as they recognize the importance of remembering those that have made us and given us the freedoms that we enjoy every day. Last off, I do want to give a shout out to Mr. Brian Wickers, and he was the the chair for the Memorial Cup bid. Last Friday, we presented to the Canadian Hockey League through a Teams meeting, and it was amazing the work that was been done and the kudos that the committee that we're presenting to gave to the organizing committee here. And we had a video, and I'm hoping we can get that out so everybody in the community can see the video that went out to the Canadian Hockey League, talking about Lethbridge and how volunteerism and just the different folks that we have within our community and what they can do to bring a community together. And we've seen it with curling and many other events throughout our city. And so we're competing with 4 other communities to get the Memorial Cup, and we're hoping that we are successful with that. And time will tell. We hope to know within the next couple of months at max. So with that, we'll move on to the adoption of the agenda. I have a resolution from Deputy Mayor Palladino. Be it resolved that the agenda of the regular meeting of City Council on November 12th, 2024 be adopted as presented. Are there any changes, Madam City Clerk?
Thank you, Mayor Higgin. We do have one addition to the agenda for Council's consideration. It's actually a letter of support from the Lethbridge Police Commission coming out of their October 30th meeting for item 4.3.2, and that's the Downtown Lawlessness Reduction Task Force summary and recommendation document. So if Council does adopt the agenda as amended, we'll pass that letter around.
All right, so as amended to Councillor Palladino.
I will call for the vote.
Question's been called. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. And we'll just take a 2-minute break there just to upload that amendment. All right. We'll move along here with, I do have a resolution from Acting Mayor Carlson. Consent agenda, be it resolved that the minutes of the following meetings of City Council be approved and the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign the same. So City Council meeting, organizational meeting, and special meeting. And furthermore, it is distributed in our package as well as online. I won't go through the 5 pages if that is okay, Councillor Carlson, and I will turn the time over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've gone through everything. Most of them are reports and recommendations from committee. There are a number of minutes. I've gone through them all, but unless there's any comments or noticeable errors or omissions from my colleagues, I will call for the vote.
Question's been called. All in favor? All right, so moves.
Some. Yeah. You can do that. Yes. Yes. What are we doing? Oh.
I'll turn the time over to Councillor Palladino as Deputy Mayor, Palladino, as Councillor Parker, myself are moving this OBM. So I'll turn the time over to Deputy Mayor.
Okay, I have this official business motion, Remembrance Day Crosswalk, 6.1. Whereas Remembrance Day is annually observed on November 11th to honor and remember the men and women who have served and continue to serve our country during times of war, conflict, and peace. And whereas the City of Lethbridge recognizes the importance of honoring our veterans and acknowledges that there may be many ways to do so, and whereas the City of Lethbridge pursues new ways to honor our veterans and continue to support Remembrance Day initiatives such as the Salute Our Veterans program, and whereas Lethbridge City Council has previously approved the painting of decorative crosswalks on the condition that the costs associated with the painting of crosswalks would not be covered by the City of Lethbridge. Therefore, be it resolved, the City Council reconsider and waive for this project only the below previously adopted resolution in part of April 23rd, 2024 regarding decorative crosswalks as the final crosswalk painting and recognition project for external organizations. Further, be it resolved that the City Council direct administration to, in consultation with the Royal Canadian Legion General Stewart Branch No. 4 and any other stakeholders to develop a plan to design and install a decorative Remembrance Day crosswalk on 4th Avenue South adjacent to the Cenotaph, and further be it resolved that the City of Lethbridge cover any cost to a maximum of $10,000 from council contingencies. Is any questions on this?
You have to give Councillor Dordick permission to speak.
He's got...
No, you have to.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I've briefly discussed this with Councillor Parker and a bit with the mayor as well. And the reason I have a question on this is because I would remind City Council that at a City Council meeting on April 23, 2024, we had approved a sidewalk to be painted on behalf of, or for Woods Homes. And people have seen it. It's something to do with mental health. I can't remember exactly what it is. But there was a second operative clause to that resolution. It was to direct administration to prepare a council policy regarding the development of decorative crosswalks as well as other similar decorative measures and present to the governance standing policy committee by Q3 2025, including options such as but not limited to, and then gives a host of what city administration is to bring back by Q3 2025, which is prior to the next November 11th Remembrance Day. So I just wanted to bring that to council attention because this resolution, although it is a great resolution, I'm glad that it was provided, But to be consistent with prior resolutions, and because we're already dealing with this, not only with respect to decorative crosswalks, but also with respect to any other similar decorative measures. And I believe that direction will allow input from the organizations that might be affected with respect to any decorative sidewalk or other decorative measure that may be used to celebrate Remembrance Day. Bearing in mind that we do have banners that go up, we have the cenotaph and other obviously activities that are planned for November 11th. So my question of Councillor Parker is whether this is something that could be dealt with respect to that direction that has been passed on April 23rd, 2024.
I think that's a very valid point, and thank you for bringing that. And I don't think we want to fly in the face of policy, because what's the point of having policy if we're not following it? All I want to do is get this on the radar and is something that we could support the idea of it, but at the same time, go through the process and listen back to what comes back in 2025. And I think if you're going to do it, you want to do it right. It doesn't mean we have to do it in a rush. And I think it's kind of weird that we're doing this resolution the day after Remembrance Day. But I think the main reason I don't want to get into debate, or just not so much debate, I want to give the logic. As most people know, there's a lot of things on Facebook and a lot of weird things, but a lot of great things also appear on Facebook and social media. And I think, if not, most of us have seen, if not myself, members of council, but the community has seen some amazing ideas of ways to honor our veterans in using crosswalks. And I know that it has to be done in a tasteful way, and that's why the resolution stated that in consultation. And I know that the mayor's had some major positive feedback from maybe you could speak to that a little bit. But I think also we just don't want to go do it and pass the resolution today. I think we have to make sure we go through the policy. And if we can have something done prior to our next Remembrance Day, in regards to how long it stays up, a month, 2 months, 3 months, I don't know. And I think they made some recommendations on 4th Avenue across from the center, but that can come out a little later on. So I just wanted to get the idea on the table, but at the same time, I also have to respect the policy in place.
Yeah, and just to add to that, thank you so much. And that makes sense. I think Councillor Parker is pretty much has talked about the importance of this and where we're going with this when we had chatted about this a couple of weeks back. A lot of people reached out to us and had mentioned if there's anything, because we see this coming across Canada. There's a lot of them being done, but to the point that was made, we want to make sure that it's done right in consultation with the different organizations. And I know I was, as I'd mentioned in our preamble when we were chatting about the different organizations that we've been through over the last while, and during Remembrance Day ceremonies yesterday, the different groups that I had chatted with, a lot of positive feedback, but let's get it done right rather than right now. I know we've missed this time. However, I would like to see something that is year-round, recognized year-round. So, but of course, we do have something on a policy that's I think is in place, or we're going to have something here come next summer or the third quarter that still gives time for this to take place as crosswalk for next year, if it's something that council does move forward with. So I think that's great.
More than happy to postpone this resolution until we hear back from regards to the policy and everything that's going to be done in the third quarter of 2025. Am I correct in that? So I can make a verbal motion, maybe to my own motion, that we postpone this until after the policy is done properly and correctly and supported by council.
I have a question to add as well to that. Mr. City Manager, we have Q3, but Q3 with the election and everything might not give any time for this to come back. Is there any opportunity for your staff to get this done by Q2?
Good question.
Through the mayor, happy to speak to that. So to the earlier comments of ensuring that this is done right, there's some significant consultation and work that needs to be done, because this policy is not just about crosswalks. There's a number of other things that need to be considered in it, and it's something that we could look at. I can't give you the answer today, but what I can tell you is there will be something that we need to not do in order, if you want to bring this sooner. So, and what that might be as far as options, we'd need to look and come back to you with the options of what might drop off to do this sooner.
thank you for, the bluntness on the answer, because we have been throwing a lot at admin. But it is something I think we should consider, because otherwise, again, we will not have, the timing I don't think would work with our 2025 calendar and when governance meets.
So I just wanted, I think we all, and I'm not going to hold you all accountable to this, but I think we all kind of like the idea. We like the willingness of doing something like this, but I think it's important that we do it in lines with our policy. So I'm going to ask that it be postponed until the policy comes back, where the city manager also knows there is a sense of urgency on this, but Q3 at the latest. How's that sound? So, Blaine?
Sure.
Mayor Hagan, are you okay with that?
I'm totally fine with that. Thank you, Councillor
As a co-sponsor of it. And so, do we have it on there? Oh, is you typing? Wait. So Ryan, just to postpone this until after policy comes back. By Q3 2025. I'll close on that after. Okay. We got that? Okay. So you are now, sorry, this isn't my, sorry, you're the chair of this one, so I just want to make sure. Yeah.
Okay, the amended, this is an added to it, okay? Be it resolved that this item be postponed until the December, or decorative crosswalk policy comes back no later than Q3 2025.
Just a second. Do we debate a postponement? No, so.
You can debate it as to time.
Call for the vote. We'll call for the vote then. All in favor?
Opposed?
None opposed, I don't think.
Unless we vote twice.
Unless you voted twice, yeah.
So it carries unanimously.
It's unanimous. Thank you. All right. Moving to bylaws, 7.1.1, recommendation of assets and infrastructure standing policy committee, bicycle bylaw 6427. For a second reading from Councillor Campbell, be it resolved that bylaw 6427, bicycle bylaw be given second reading. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was a bylaw that has been long overdue. A few tweaks have been made, especially since the advent of these e-bikes and bike lanes. So they've been addressed, and there's a number of things that are tweaked in there. I would ask for my colleagues' support.
I do have questions. Councillor Crowson.
Thank you, Mayor Higgin. A couple of questions I had from people within the biking community. One more for curiosity than anything. Why no more than 2 headlamps? It says you have to have at least 1 headlamp, but you can't have more than 2. So they were just curious why that is in there.
Thank you for that. It's been a while since I've looked back at it. If I recall correctly, kind of scraping back in my memory here, I believe we're just echoing the provincial requirements on that. I'm pretty sure that's all we did in that part there.
So it was a cut and paste, and if somebody really did have 3, would that be the worst thing out there?
It would be better to be charged under a bylaw than the provincial act.
Okay, all right. Yeah, they were just one of those ones nobody seemed to understand why that was in there. Okay. The other one that was more serious coming from them, the ban on cycling on Mayor McGrath Drive from 6th Avenue to the city limits. Some don't find that reasonable, and I'm sure you've had this conversation with them. Others think that is absolutely amazing. That would be silly to try to bike Mayor McGrath Drive. Others who are more active bikers would like to bike Mayor McGrath Drive. And then they say forcing cyclists to use the pathways that run parallel creates safety issues for cyclists and motorists at every intersection, and that it's not practical to ask them to get off their bike at every intersection. What would be your response to that comment in question?
So this is one that I believe exists in the current old bylaw. And we're maintaining this piece here. It was something that we did debate a lot internally while we were coming up with this bike bylaw. And in the end, while we have the potential hazards on the multi-use pathway along the side at every intersection, you've got the potential hazard along the entire stretch of Mayor-McGrath Drive with someone coming up behind you along the whole stretch. And we just felt that it was something that we would keep in here, just trying to look out for that speed differential and trying to keep people safe along Mayor-McGrath Drive and continuing with what the previous bylaw had in it.
So it's trying to find that right way of giving everybody, okay. Is it something that, I mean, if this passes today, is this something that could be observed and, monitored to see if it's the right approach?
I'd like to say yes, but I'm not sure exactly what will be
It'd be hard to do.
monitor. Yeah, it'll be difficult to follow. We do monitor collisions along Mayor-McGrath Drive. We do monitor collisions at the intersections, so it would be part of our regular ongoing safety program to monitor it.
And you also realize if you remove the necessity for the license plates that don't exist, that you legally still have to have, what am I going to tell the grade 6 classes about some of our silly old bylaws? Like, I have to do more research again.
Yep, sorry to move that burden onto you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor Higgin.
Thank you, Councillor Crowson. And thank you, Admin, for those answers. So any further, I guess we'll go back to Councillor Campbell.
Any other questions? Guess there's none. So we're allowing Councillor Crowson to lie, for one thing. No, or misrepresent, however you want to call it. No, I think there's been a lot of consultation with this bylaw. Again, it was well overdue. Was since 1986, I believe it was. So this is we're due for this update, and I ask for my colleagues' support.
Question's been called. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Sorry, Councillor Crowson, did you have?
That's okay.
Okay. And for third reading, be it resolved that bylaw 6427, bicycle bylaw, be given third reading, and the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign and seal the same. Councillor Campbell. Question's been called. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. And we'll move to inquiries and responses. And we do see that there was two inquiries that were responded to, Councillor Crowson, as well as a new one that has just gone in for city hiring practices and procedures, which has not got a response yet, but that will be forthcoming. So, yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Councillor Crowson.
So the reason I put the inquiry in around the hiring procedures and practices is I have had, and I'm sure some of my colleagues have had over the years, people questioning whether city staff can phone up another department and pull some strings to, get someone hired, or have told me that they have heard of that. So this is what this is about. I want to have a clear understanding of what policies are in place, and not only that, but if there is any enforcement and what would happen if someone is, because I know we do have such policies, but it is something that I think we have to be very clear with the public, what is in place and what we have. So that's why the inquiry is there.
Awesome. Thank you. And we'll move on now to council updates. Or any members? Go ahead, Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
A few updates, and I'll be looking to Deputy Mayor Palladino and Councillor Parker to help me out with these ones. A few highlights from the October Police Commission meeting. The Downtown Policing Unit continues to deploy a targeted enforcement project in conjunction with the Property Crimes Unit, Crime Suppression Team, Community Peace Officers, and recently the Lethbridge SCAN Team, leading to multiple arrests and charges. On project days, there is a drastic change in subject behavior within the targeted areas, and we have seen results of some of these special projects in the local media. The recruiting unit continues to focus on applications for the January cadet class. The spring 2024 CPO cadets are in the final stages of their field training. It's anticipated they will be solo ready by early November. The July 2024 police cadet class continues to progress through their training and are now in week 16 of 23. The 2024 experienced officer class completed their condensed training and are now assigned to field training on patrol teams and the downtown policing unit. The Commission also received the final report from the Downtown Lawlessness Reduction Task Force. We received the letter of support of that today, and LPS is hosting a LPS is hosting a town hall meeting tomorrow night at St. Patrick Fine Arts School from 6 to 8 p.m. Deputy Mayor Palladino, was there anything you wanted to add or anything I missed in that?
No, I think you captured it quite well.
Okay. Councillor Parker and I attended the joint City of Lethbridge and School Boards Committee meeting on October 30th. Discussed was the need to formalize the committee and increase the number of meetings per year from 3 to 6, with one of those meetings being a meeting with both school boards and all of council. That recommendation will be coming to the November Governance SPC. We also had discussions about the provincial announcement regarding the School Construction Accelerator Program, areas that we as city representatives can advocate for our local school boards, and an update from the Property Intervention Committee, enrollment growth, and capital plan updates. And I do have some notes and speaking points from the school boards that I will submit to be shared to the rest of council. Councillor Parker, was there anything you wanted to add?
I think the one thing I'd like to add is there was some concern around the table from both School District 51 and the separate school board regarding the possible disbandment of the committee. And if anything, it made us reflect about the importance of the committee, and there was kind of a consensus around that. But that will be discussion among us as colleagues as we make those decisions. But I think it was a paramount topic on the agenda, and I think it was a very great conversation as well. And I think the recommendation of having more meetings more frequently, as well as having just board members to council members, was a great recommendation. So thank you for that, for paraphrasing that so well.
Okay. And then, as I mentioned before, Mayor Higgin, the city manager, and I attended Team Lethbridge. That was November 5th to 7th. There will be a full team report out in January. I had the opportunity to participate in meetings with Minister Scow, Minister Furr, and Parliamentary Secretary Armstrong Homniak, and I was just going to look to see if Mayor Higgin or the city manager had anything they'd like to add or update from that trip.
I think we covered it earlier. It's in its infancy, a lot of the different questions and comments that came from those meetings, but we definitely put out to ministers and parliamentary secretaries, as well as the premier, some of the focus of our community and where we're going. And I think it was received well. They were had mentioned, I know Minister Turrell had mentioned that he says that he's never seen a group that's so connected and to come up as a team to talk about the concerns, suggestions. There's really not much of an ask at times when we go up there in these particular meetings, and so sometimes it's easier to get the conversations going with those ministers, because if they know you're up to talk about your community, they love to know what's happening within the community of Lethbridge. And so, I think outside that, I think it went quite well. Mr. Brierley, if there's anything you have to add?
Yep, it is on. I think it was a good discussion, and it's always important because Edmonton's a little further from Lethbridge than, say, Red Deer or others. Remind them of what we do down here and the importance of Lethbridge. So I think it was some great discussions.
Just in addition to that, prior to those meetings, on November 3rd, I attended one of the elected officials education program offerings. That was council's role in public engagement. I'll be submitting my notes to the city clerk's office for those to be shared with the rest of council once I have an opportunity to pull those together. And then I also just wanted to share that I've been appointed to the Alberta Municipalities Economic Strategy Committee for the 2024 year. The committee works on matters and resolutions related to labor and immigration, jobs, economy, innovation and technology, energy policies, and market access and advanced education. And I will be working with colleagues from Blackfalds, Peace River, Beaumont, Red Deer, Edmonton, and Colehurst. Thank you very much.
Awesome, thank you. I'd just like to add to, you spoke about some of the different targeted initiatives that are going on with the police service. And I know I've heard a lot from the community, and they're very grateful of a lot of the work that's being done in targeted areas in our downtown core to create more safety, and with the open drug use that was happening, and the confiscation of a lot of the drugs that are on their streets downtown. And so a huge shout out that I should have gave prior to in our kudos at the beginning of the meeting, but a shout out to them and the work that our police service does, because it's tough. We're short with officers throughout the community, and we're getting to that point where we're almost at a full complement from what I've heard from the chief. And so that's going to make a big difference moving forward as far as how many officers we have, not just in the downtown area, but throughout our community. So there'll be a larger presence now with more officers. So it's great to hear. Thank you. Congratulations. Is there any more council updates? All right. With that, could I have a motion to go in closed? Thank you, Councillor Dodick. All in favor? That so passes. Thank you. That's all right. Gavel's down for the public hearing for bylaw 6458, land use bylaw amendment regarding 804 6th Street South. The procedure for this hearing will be the following. We'll begin by calling upon Genesis Molesky, community planner, to provide background to the case. Anyone else who wishes to speak to this bylaw will then be called upon. We'll ask 3 times if there's anyone else who wishes to make a presentation. City Council will then have the opportunity to ask questions of the presenters. The hearing will then be closed. Consideration of second and third reading will be made by City Council immediately following the public hearing. I now call on Ms. Molesky to provide the background to the case. And Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
I will need to recuse myself from this. We own property within 60 meters of this property.
Right. Thank you. Councillor Schmidt-Rempel will recuse herself. And the floor is yours, Ms. Molesky.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and members of Council. Bylaw 6458 is a proposed land use bylaw amendment for the property at 804 6th Street South. The applicant is Greener Homes on behalf of the property owner. The purpose is to allow a development of a townhouse with up to 6 units, and this is achieved by rezoning and introducing a new direct control bylaw. The property is located in the London Road neighborhood. This air photograph shows the footprints of surrounding buildings. As shown, there are many single detached dwellings to the south and a few larger buildings to the north and east. To the north, there are 2 apartment buildings, and to the east, there are 2 6-unit developments. Getting closer to the site, this is the front view of the property, the side view, and the rear. The green line just outlines the width of the property, which is 70 feet. These maps demonstrate an existing versus proposed condition of the land use districts. As stated before, we are maintaining the direct control designation, and in alignment with the air photograph surrounding the site, there are many single attached dwellings, medium and high density residential, 1 commercial property to the north, and 2 parks in the vicinity. Moving on to background information, the existing dwelling was constructed in 1947. The existing direct control bylaw 6141 was adopted in 2018. This bylaw allows a 4-unit townhouse, and it includes a site plan and elevations that regulate every aspect of the development. Any changes to the approved site plan elevations would require rezoning. This has restricted the property owner's adaptability and delayed the redevelopment of the site. The proposed bylaw 6458 introduces new rules that meet the aspirations of the current property owner and also provide certainty of future development on this site to surrounding neighbors. The proposed bylaw 6458 allows a range of residential uses, including townhomes, 2- and 4-unit developments. This bylaw was also reviewed by the infrastructure departments, and a few upgrades to infrastructure have been identified, such as lane paving and electrical pole relocation. This is to ensure that the development meets city standards and does not negatively affect neighbor. And this bylaw also aligns with the London Road Area Redevelopment Plan. Particularly with the bylaw requirements listed here. The direct control bylaw allows up to 6 units and a maximum building height of 12.5 meters, which is in line with the ARP policy that supports medium-scale development at this location. In terms of parking, each unit will have access to 2 parking spaces accessible from the rear, which ensures that the trees along the boulevard are preserved. Another London Road ARP requirement is to ensure that buildings greater than 10 meters in height do not unduly limit the amount of sunlight available to adjacent buildings. An assessment was completed by a professional architect, and it was demonstrated that the proposed height of this development will only have limited shadow impacts on the properties. I've included the model diagrams for summer and winter prime hours, which are considered to be 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and in the summer there's no impact. In the winter, the property will cast a shadow in the morning hours to the apartment building to the north. The 4 p.m. model diagram does reflect significant shadows only because of shorter daylight hours in the winter and just winter sunset hours in the winter months. This proposal is in line with the SSRP and the MDP, particularly with policies that relate to increasing residential densities and increasing housing types. It is also in line with the London Road ARP, as discussed earlier in the presentation. In terms of engagement and public hearing notification, the applicant hosted an open house before the rezoning application was submitted, and the feedback received at that open house shaped the proposal before you today. The public hearing notification did happen, and notification letters were mailed to property owners within 60 meters of the site. And this information was also published in the Lethbridge Herald and on the city's website. In response to these notifications, we received 2 emails and submissions that are attached to your agenda today, both in support of the proposal. In conclusion, this proposal aligns with regional and local planning policy, and it is recommended that City Council consider this report as information for the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Molesky. Are there any members of the public that wish to make a presentation on this matter? For a second time, are there any members of the public that wish to make a presentation on this matter? Oh, I am sorry. The applicant is making a presentation. I will make sure to ask those after if they would wish to make a presentation. My apologies. Mr. Arnie Brubacher, correct?
Yes, correct.
Thank you. Floor is yours. My apologies.
Thank you. I will not try to do too much redundancy in what has been already mentioned, but I did want to explain the layout of the building to some degree so it's clear to everyone here. So we're proposing a front to back three unit building, which would make a 6-plex or 6 units up and down. See if I can get this remote to work for you. Yeah. So we would have the parking lot to the west. The 1 unit would access from the street side. The other units would access from the back with a connecting sidewalk off the back. So that would be. Oh, this is dying, sorry. My remote's dead. So anyways, the units to the south would have exits to the backyards connecting with the sidewalk over to the parking lots on the west side, with front units access to the street sidewalk connecting to the parking lots on the west. We do have adequate parking, and we made adequate space for all the bins that for the waste and recycling, as well as composting bins as well. All the existing boulevard trees will be left existing, except for some minor arborists that will need to be taking place, I'm assuming by the city, to allow for the building. Some of the feedback we received was if I could just have elevation views there. The larger windows in the center parts of the building facing the south. Do you have the south elevation there? So we changed those larger windows to accommodate the next door neighbor, so that those windows are above sight line, and they're smaller to still allow a lot of light into those spaces, but maintain privacy for the neighbor to the south. We also switched the stairwells to be to the west side, so we have a better street appeal on the east side of the building. I believe that's everything I had at this time, so if there's any questions, you can feel free. And I do have a set of blueprints on hand that are the same as you have with you, and then also have some colored 3D drawings to give perspective for if you're interested in seeing those.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Brubacher. Appreciate that. Now we'll go back, and it'll feel like Groundhog Day again. So is there any member of the public that wishes to make a presentation on this matter? For a second time, are there any members of the public that wish to make a presentation on this matter? For a third and final time, are there any members of the public that wish to make a presentation on this matter? Hearing no other presenters, it's now time for City Council to ask any questions. I do have a question before Ms. Molesky, if I could. I see that one of the slides that you had the request is in line with the London Road area redevelopment plan. Is that plan also supported by the London Road, the association there, the homeowners, or is it homeowner association? What are they called? Neighborhood Association, my apologies. Is that the London Road area redevelopment plan is supported by that group?
The London Road Area Redevelopment Plan was drafted in consultation of the Neighborhood Association. So they supported it back when it was adopted, or they had feedback for us when it was adopted. This proposal is supported by the Neighborhood Association. They submitted a letter in support.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Any of my colleagues have any questions? Hearing none, I now call this public hearing closed. This matter may be decided later following the public hearing. All right, we'll move on with a motion that I have from Councillor Crozon. And for any of you watching, you may realize that this wasn't that long ago that we talked about this exact reading. For a second reading, it is be it resolved that bylaw 6458, land use bylaw amendment regarding 804 6th Street South, be given second reading. Councillor Crozon.
Thank you, Mayor Higgin. So, of course, we are looking to change the direct control bylaw to another direct control bylaw. While this does require the knocking down of a 1947 house, which in many ways breaks my heart on that as well, knowing our housing needs, this does give us 6 more units. It is in keeping with the London Area Redevelopment Plan. It is supported by the neighbors who are here today. And it would be good to build more housing in that area and within our city. So I hope my colleagues will support this.
I see no questions or debate.
I'll call the question.
Question's been called. All in favor? And that is unanimous. We'll move to the third reading. Be it resolved that bylaw 6458, land use bylaw amendment regarding 804 6th Street South, be given third reading, and the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign and seal the same. Councillor Crozon.
Question.
Question's been called. All in favor? And that too is unanimous. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll entertain the Councillor Carlson, a motion to go in closed. Sure. All right. All in favor? Right. All right. I have a resolution from Councillor Dodick. Closed meeting, labor negotiations update. Be it resolved, the City Council, at the recommendation of the City Manager, adopt the memorandum of agreement, thus ratifying the renewal of collective agreement between the CUPE Local 70, Canadian Union of Public Employees, and the City of Lethbridge with the following terms. I'm sorry, is there anybody who has a conflict? John? And that were there previously? Is there a conflict?
Touch me.
All right. We have 2 conflicts that have been declared, and we'll move forward. So the term is for 4 years, January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2026, and the wages are effective January 1, 2023 of 3% full retro, and January 1st, 2024, 2.75 partial retro, and January 1st, 2025 of 2.5%, and January 1st, 2026, 2.75%. And the increase of labor rate to $23 an hour effective January 1st, 2025. Further be resolved that Mayor and City Clerk be authorized to sign the agreement, and further be resolved the City Council direct the closed meeting presentations and discussions with respect to the labor negotiations update verbal remain confidential pursuant to Section 24. Advice from officials of the Freedom of Information Protection of Privacy Act. Councillor Dodick.
Thank you very much. Let me start off by saying that we value the employees of the City of Lethbridge, and it's important that we acknowledge that. So I am pleased to be able to sponsor this resolution, which indicates that an agreement has been reached between the union and the City of Lethbridge, and that we'll be able to go on forward and providing the services that our citizens need. And again, I just hasten to add and repeat that we value our employees, and I believe that this resolution is a very good one and is good news for the city.
Thank you. And with that, can I entertain the motion to call for the vote?
If you
All right. Question's been called. All in favor? All right. That passed unanimously, and we can call our colleagues back. And the next resolution, Councillor Parker will remove himself as a conflict.
Who?
Or declaring a conflict, not as a conflict. All right. From Councillor Crowson, labor matter verbal. Be it resolved that the confidential direction be forwarded to the November 26, 2024 public meeting of City Council, and further be resolved the City Council direct the closed meeting discussions with respect to labor matter verbal remain confidential pursuant to Section 24. Advice from officials of the Freedom of Information Protection and Privacy Act. Councillor Crowson.
I won't bore you with details. Question.
Question has been called. All in favor? And that too passes unanimously. And we'll call our colleague back. He is back. All right. A resolution from Councillor Carlson, closed meeting, community services matter update. And with that, Councillor Schmidt-Rempel has declared a conflict and has left chambers and for the following. So, and be it resolved, the City Council direct the closed meeting discussions with respect to the community services matter update. Verbal remain confidential pursuant to Sections 24, advice from officials, and 27, privilege legal of the Freedom of Information Protection of Privacy Act. Councillor Carlson. Question's been called. All in favor? And 2 is unanimous. And we'll call back our colleague. Thank you. And she is back. And I have a resolution from Councillor Middleton Hope. Closed meeting, a community facility update, 14.4. And do we have any conflicts with this one? Seeing none, be it resolved the City Council directed the meeting, closed meeting discussions with respect to the community facility update verbal remain confidential pursuant to Section 16, harmful to business interests of a third party, 24, advice from officials, and 27, privilege legal of the Freedom of Information Protection of Privacy Act. Councillor Middleton Hope. Question's been called. All in favor? And 2 is unanimous. And with that, we'll move to the final resolution here from Acting Mayor Carlson. Closed meeting, internal review update. Be it resolved the City Council direct the closed meeting documents and discussions with respect to the internal review update remain confidential pursuant to Sections 23, local public body confidences, and 24, advice from officials of the Freedom of Information Protection of Privacy Act. Acting Mayor Carlson.
Call for the vote.
Question's been called. All in favor? And that too is unanimous. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.